Greetings, greetings. Hopefully, you guys can hear us. Hello, how is everybody? Welcome to our next three Grots in a Vox live stream. Please, you guys both speak. Let's just check the sound levels and things are good.
Yeah, Mark's doing that thing where he pretends we're all deaf, I think.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome to this evening's entertainment. You should like and subscribe if you haven't already right now, despite the fact we haven't said anything of any use or interest whatsoever.
Yeah, but hang on, because that's on the
how
presumption that we're
YouTube
going to say something useful and productive in the future as well.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee of that.
That's the idea.
It's a promise of quality content.
Well, this evening at least, we will be talking about Chapter Approved. What's the full title of this thing? Warhammer 40,000 Chapter Approved Mission Pack Warzone Nephilim Grand Tournament. Which is
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
That's really, yeah. Doesn't have 2022 on it or anything, so there we go. People.
That's just going to get confusing.
What?
Well, it doesn't say 2022 on it, and if they continue that trend, then none of them, and you're going to be like looking at them all on the shelf. It's like, which one are we up to? What was the last one? You know, and that's just, I don't like it. I like numbering systems.
I've bin every old one as it comes along. Well, I don't bin them. I now take them into my local Games Workshop store and say, here, you deal with this. This is your recycling shit now.
To be fair, these books are starting to pile up quite a bit, aren't they?
I kept the first one because it had the core rules in it, and that's quite useful to like. You're like playing a big game and you just want to hand a copy of the rules out to someone.
But as always with these books, these core rules were literally invalidated straight away with the balance data slate, in that they just changed charging.
They were already out of date because they'd included some of the errata and FAQs that had taken place, but only up until a certain point of the year. So they don't have the fight last and fight first clarifications in the rules in the back of here are the all FAQs, which is a bit of a shame. But there we go. So anybody who does buy this and order this, it's worth knowing that this comes with a code in the back of it that they never used to before, which is cool. So if you use the official Warhammer app, you can put the code into your My Warhammer account, get access to all the secondaries and missions and details in the app, so you don't necessarily have to lug the book with you as much as you want to. So that's a handy thing to be aware of. You might not already know.
I didn't know, and I think I just showed my code on stream, so someone will
I've
probably
already redeemed mine. I don't care.
Pinch my code. Please don't pinch my code if you saw it.
Haven't you had this for like 2 weeks now?
I didn't know it came with a code. But mind you, I don't really use the app, so it's fine.
Fair enough. It's the first time they've put the secondaries in the app, which is actually really useful, thank God.
I completely forgot that I was showing the book on stream, even though it's on the monitor right in front of me.
Don't try and redeem John's code, everybody. It's already been redeemed. don't even give it
There's
a go.
no chance that I'm getting my code.
If I hadn't already redeemed mine, I'd do it on principle.
Okay.
I don't think you would let me redeem 2.
Yeah. You just steal my code just for the hell of it. Well, I mean, that's what the stream is about. This channel is about fun. Anyway, I like the Blood Angels t-shirt tonight, Mark.
Thank you. Cheers. Yeah, I haven't worn it in a while, so I figured I'd get it out for this one.
That's one I haven't seen before.
This is an old one. This is back from when Horus Heresy actually sold, before the whole stopping selling it and then rebooting it stuff. It was a Warhammer World exclusive t-shirt, so they don't sell it anymore. I'm pretty happy with it.
This is totally off topic, but I'm really hoping that now they've got Horus Heresy 2.0, that all the old black books either go into the vault or they're like being flogged off really cheap somewhere. Because I'd really like the black books. I only want the fluff section, those beautiful colour plates and that.
Well, the limited edition of the Heresy rulebook came out in the same sort of leather black bound book format the old ones did, so I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, the only ones I bought for the old format were these 2 books, which turned out to be utterly useless and not very well easy to see on the camera, which is the Legiones Astartes Isfan Campaign Legions and the Legiones Astartes Crusade Army List. Well, neither of which book is of any use to anybody.
Not anymore, no.
And they have no pictures in them.
No, just rules.
Which I didn't realise until after I'd ordered them.
Well,
and I only really wanted the pictures.
Yeah, they were the rule books for people who just wanted the rules to play the game and didn't want any of the fluff.
Yeah. Oh well, live and learn.
Indeed.
Must be books, gold painted paper.
So I take it you guys have had a good look at Chapter Approved Nephilim. Early opinions, thoughts? Are you happy with this 3-month, 6-monthly update sort of schedule, or what's your thoughts on it?
I'm more happy now I've seen that the missions haven't changed.
If they
I
have
like
changed,
that,
they're
'cause it
tiny
means
shade
that-
little changes I haven't noticed.
I like the fact that I'm still learning those missions and they've not just immediately invalidated them. They've just changed up the secondaries. And I hope next time they leave the secondaries more or less the same, but they change up the missions. And then I can sort of get behind it because it just keeps things moving along. And I think the 18 quid was a little bit slightly better value, not good value by any stretch, but slightly better. It's a little bit more of a chunky book. I like that it's got the core rules and all the missions in it.
Yeah. The terrain rules in the back as well, all the little things that are
So
useful to know.
it's not awful. It's not as bad as the last one, which was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's a good a step in the right direction. The digital points, I guess, is great as well. And yeah, not having the core rules last time round just meant that you basically had to carry 2 chapter approved everywhere, because no one carries the rule book around. I was actually at a tournament.
I do.
that would you take the rule book to the tournament?
Yeah, the little one.
Oh right, okay. No, I was at a tournament.
Is that the one you got in like the command edition or whatever?
No, it's the one that somebody else got in the command edition and I eBayed for 20 quid.
Okay, that's smart. But no, I was at a tournament on the top table, and like in the middle of the thing, I just
Were
had
you
to
on the
start
top table,
shouting. Yeah, I was on the top table again,
Wow.
again. I was just like shouting at the top of my voice, like, "Does anyone have a rule book?"
Lost voice,
Because we're like on time and shit, and I was like, "Somebody has a fucking rule book," because I can't remember what it was. There was like a charging rule that I knew I was right on, but the guy, I just wanted to clarify it for him. I was like, "Fucking A, I never take the core rule book around."
Fair enough. This little one's worth it to carry around.
Yeah, a little one is worth it.
It's convenient.
Cool. So what do we want to get into?
Well, there's 4 key areas that have changed with the release of Chapter Approved Warhammer 40,000 Mission Pack Warzone Nephilim Grand Tournament. And those 4 parts are list building, secondaries, points changes, and the balanced data slate. And before we actually kick off and start with these, anybody who wants to ask a question, ask a question. If you ask a stupid question, expect sarcasm. I'm running low on give a fuck, so there you go. There's a prior warning on that one. List building has changed in a few ways. There's the starting CP changes, which are the big changes. There's all the stuff that I'm going to go through again when John comes back, because I'm going to say it now and I'm going to have to say it again when he comes back from whatever he's doing. So yeah, there's starting CP changes. There's the Warlord traits and relics that you no longer start with. There's the impact that has on named characters relative to it. And there's a slight CP reduction on super heavy auxiliary detachments. Which is... Oh, that's definitely a child problem. Okay.
I thought it was a cat. It sounded like a cat.
Okay. That's a weird cat.
I don't know.
What do cats sound like where you come from? Well, obviously crying children, I suppose.
This might be false because I
Aren't
don't
you
know where I
teaching?
heard it. Yeah, but I heard that the reason that cats don't meow in nature, right? They meow when they're in, and that's quite well known. They meow when they're in human contact. Now, the frequency of the meow is the same as the frequency of a child crying.
For maximum human attention grabbing.
For maximum human attention.
Figures. That makes sense. I can get behind that.
I don't know how true it is. I don't know because I read it in some like crap place.
It strikes me as the kind of thing that might be true because cats are obviously sociopathic weirdos.
Yeah.
Question: is paying for Warlord traits and relics a good thing or a bad thing? Yes.
I like paying for relics. I think that you should still get your Warlord free because that's what makes him special. That's what makes him a Warlord and gives him a little bit of extra special sauce. Other than that, it's just a random character. But I think that relics being super, super rare should have them to pay for them. I think is a reasonable one.
Overall, I think it's a good thing because it forces you to make more choices in the game as to what's important to you, whether you want to customize your army up front with warlord traits and relics, whether you want to save CP for pre-game things like Forlorn Fury, whether you want to save it for in-game use or some mix of the others, whether you want to put them in towards detachments, all that kind of jazz. That sort of difficult decision puts towards a more compelling list writing and game, in my opinion. I do agree that it would be nice if your warlord had a free warlord trait because, as Tony said, them being a little bit more special feels right, makes sense. On the flip side, if you're taking a named character, I'm also happy to not have to pay for the warlord trait they take if you don't want to take that warlord trait. That's also a little side benefit.
Yeah. How do you feel about all the named characters now? Or do you want to wait for John for that?
I'm kind of like stalling a little bit to try and wait for him to come back before we get into meaty related stuff. Do we think it is better to send CP for old game? What? Do we think it is better to spend CP for whole game or just turn impacts?
Yeah, buy stuff before the game, then that's going to have an impact for the whole game.
Oh, right.
Or do a strat in the game, which is going to have an impact there and then.
I think that depends on you, how you like to play, how you like to write your list. That's kind of subjective, really. You
With
can't
like the
say
changes to the CP,
universally
and the fact
better
that
or
you've
the
got so many extra ones coming in, I'm now not that bothered. I'll just like throw them away once the game's going because I think we'll have more CP coming in than I spend a turn anyway.
So.
I'm finishing with a lot more than I used to because now you can't front load it.
I played my first game with Nephilim last night. We got to the end of turn 3 with a mate at a local club before we had to close up and put stuff away and go home. He was playing Kraken Tyranids. I think it's Kraken Tyranids. And I was playing my 2K Blood Angels list. And it's like I'm only using 2 or 3 stratagems through the entire battle. The rest of them can get to fuck. I don't really care about them. Which is...
I use CP rerolls and interrupts, and that's about it.
What else was there? There was interrupts was definitely a thing. I used suppression fire a few times. I used the 5-up feel no pain on Death Company a few times, and I used self combat revival once. So there's a few things in there. What was I saying before John was so interrupted by
we were just vamping for the last 5 minutes.
Cats? Yeah. So list building has changed with starting CP changes, warlord traits and relics, and the impacts that's had on named characters, and super heavy auxiliary detachment going down in CP cost to 0 if it's a part of the detachment, part of the same faction that you're running as your warlord, basically.
Did you guys catch the question in chat about is paying points for warlord traits and relics a good thing or a bad thing from David?
Yeah,
you got it.
Unless if you want to address it, feel free to address it. We've read Mr. Jason Trump's question.
My thought is you can still spend some CP on warlord traits and relics, probably like 2 or 3, but you can't spend before. I mean, last edition you could spend 8 CP on shit like that. I reckon you can spend maybe 3. What did you guys say? Or
so for the list I ran last night, I've put 2 or 3 CP into relics and warlord traits, 2 CP into relics and warlord traits, and definitely saved 1 for Full on Fury, and the rest is just there. Oh, and I put 3 into the cost of a detachment as well.
Oh, really?
But I'm running Dante, so I got +1 CP off the back of that.
Okay.
Because Dante's a bit of a no-brainer now.
I think I'm spending 1. I'm paying for Soul Warden.
Okay.
Tech Marine. And that's the only thing I'm buying pre-game at the moment. Oh, and I'll spend a CP to have my Leviathan Dreadnought.
Island says he used to spend 6p and doesn't anymore. That figures. That makes sense.
Yeah. I used to spend about 5, I guess, and I think I'll probably spend 2 or 3 now. I'm really sad.
Overall, what do you think about the CP changes and the impact they've had on how the game plays and is playing? Have you played a new game with Nephilim yet, John?
No, I was supposed to play last night, but no one wanted to play me because I had COVID. So
that's fair. I
mean,
it's hard to argue with.
I've been feeling fine for about a week at this point, but yeah, I'm playing Andrew, playing Brett's Chaos, I think, on the 13th, and then playing Andrew's Chaos Knights on the 20th.
For me, I've been watching this video from that Tabletop Tactics did a few days ago, which is Abaddon versus bloody everybody, and he goes through a Knight Titan, he goes through Mortarion, he goes through the Avatar, he goes through Magnus the Red, he goes through like 10 badass beat stick characters before he dies.
And they all get to fight against him?
Yeah, they all get to fight. and Abaddon is just a beast.
Yeah.
How many points is he now? I haven't actually
Probably at the
seen his
moment
profile.
number 1 combat monster in 40k.
He's got a damage cap per phase,
and
he's got a chance of healing when he kills someone.
Oh, lovely. Damage cap per phase is what, like 3 or something?
3. Yeah.
And how many wounds he got? 9 or something?
Probably 9. I think he's
got 9 because you don't want 10 because that means he's targetable.
Yeah. Lovely. Okay.
So yeah, be careful of Abaddon. What?
I like the changes to super heavy battalions. I think because I guess the super heavy ox detachments before would have kind of didn't cripple you, but they kind of hurt you by the time you pay maybe like. You're going to have to pay 2 CP, right? Because you would get 2. You would pay 3, 2 would be refunded, and then you pay 1 for Martial Legacy. So I guess now just paying the
Unless
one
you
for.
Astraeus.
Well, sure, unless you bring someone that doesn't have Martial Legacy, yeah, sure. But I think that the fact that some of those super heavies went down 50 points, I actually thought they were kind of competitive as they were. So if you have an Astraeus or a Falchion or a Fellblade, and you want to run it, I'd say run it. I mean, it's not going to do bad. The Dora the Thunderhawk, though. Come on, let's be real. It didn't go down in points, did it? Or did it?
If you drop that, I'm going to laugh so hard.
But I did notice in Horus Heresy, it's only 650 points.
Okay, so you're just getting.
Okay, at the moment, 800.
I think it was 800.
It's 800 points at the moment. It's 800 points of fail at the moment, which is.
It's kind of irrelevant, really. No,
now we've talked about it before, but I'm convinced it's intentionally that high because it's like the Warlord Titan is like 5,000 points or something, so you can't run it.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done it on purpose for some of these like really, really big things because I don't really want you playing them unless it's some sort of narrative game. So they've intentionally massively overpriced them so that you don't run them competitively.
That doesn't surprise me, and would make a lot of sense, to be fair.
Which is fine. Here's a controversial one.
Go on.
Because we're going to talk about named characters in a minute.
It's already been brought up. Go for it.
That's the one change that I don't like to Nephilim is the fact that it's made everybody start bringing named characters.
Why do you not like that?
I'm a bit old school, which I know a lot of people in the chat are as well. Now, when I started playing 40k, if you want to run a named character, you had to have your opponent's permission.
Yeah, I remember that.
And part of the reason for that is it's weird when you've got Abaddon versus Abaddon or something stupid like that. So it doesn't make any sense that, it's like 4 Dantes flying around at the same time and things like that anymore. So pushing everybody into doing them from a narrative point of view really makes me cringe. And I kind of feel that they a little bit should be in the same boat where they're like massively overpowered, but you can't run them in a tournament.
Okay.
They're just cool narrative devices rather than.
But on one hand, I see where you're coming from. On the other hand, named characters are cool, and I like running them.
Yeah.
I don't think that's for friendly games. I think it's cool because they are cool. It's just really weird because apparently, and someone might correct me in the chat, I've been talking to a lot of people about heresy events. And for heresy events, they still do that. You can't run like Primarchs and things like that in most heresy events because it'd be weird if there were 2 Sanguiniuses flying around.
Yeah, they've got their points limits, haven't they, for how much you can attribute to big, heavy things and Primarchs and whatnot.
Yeah, but they've also just flat in tournaments and stuff. So
on the one hand,
make some level of
for the narrative sense, I can get behind that. But if I've spent 100 or 80 or whatever quid on a Primarch model and put a lot of time and effort and paint it up, I want to put it on the bloody battlefield.
Yeah, but you can. You just play it in a narrative game.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to change, though. So,
now I've derailed the conversation.
I was going to say, I guess named characters are going to... Dante is a good example of a named character that's going to get more play because you don't need to take his crappy warlord trait anymore. We can debate that all day, but as someone that's played or has actively avoided playing Dante for about 2 years, I thought his warlord trait was bad. Rubbish. And but I thought his CP extra was great. So in Dante's case...
I challenge you to play a game with Dante and his warlord trait to see what the flexibility of an 18-inch diameter bubble of Chapter Master rerolls will do.
But most of the time I'll just hide them behind a wall and give Chapter Master rerolls to somebody and then they'll fly off, and that's kind of the way I do it, I guess. But yeah, so it's fine. I guess it's made some named characters. They're going to get more play.
Yeah.
It's changed enough that, hands up who's now running Dante.
I haven't decided yet.
Everybody. Mark was already running Dante. I know John's put him in his list, although he doesn't want to put his hand up.
The flip side of that is characters that were bad are still bad. I mean, Tycho's not going to see the table. Corbulo's not going to see the table.
Points drop.
Lamarcus not going to see the table.
Question though, and it's a pretty interesting
He
question.
was running Dante before it was cool.
Was do the super heavy ox detachment cost changes make either of you consider a knight more or less?
Has no difference to a knight in a Blood Angels list because it's only if they share the primary faction keyword that is not Imperium with your warlord. So a knight does not share the Blood Angels keyword.
Oh right, so therefore, so you're still going to pay the
to a Space Marines Lord of War if you're running it in Space Marine Army.
So you're going to pay. You're going to pay a full 3 CP.
CP for a knight. Yeah, in a Blood Angels list. Still, that has not changed.
So I'm considering a knight just as much as I was previously.
Which is not at all.
Maybe a little bit less.
Not at all.
Yeah.
With the less CP, it's not at all now, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If you want to build a strategy around it, it could work, but not so much alone.
Yeah. Yeah. But
which is sad because knights are cool.
It's true. Knights big, stompy, cool.
I wanted to buy one. Haven't got around to it. But okay, cool.
So the second major aspect and change of Nephilim is, of course, the drastic change to the secondary objectives. In general, there are a lot less of them than there used to be. Every single category now has 2 general ones, except for Psychic, which also has a Border Witch on top of it. 2 the last, and Stranglehold are gone, and a lot of the others have been changed and rebalanced, so they are now a lot harder to score max for. There's not really as many auto takes, if any, as there used to be. And then you're all aiming to score around about sort of 8 to 10 on pretty much any secondary that you're going to take, if you're going to reliably count on that score for a secondary. And the other major change is faction secondaries, in that you used to be able to take 1, and now you can take as many of them as you like.
Yeah, assuming they don't occupy the same battlefield role. And I guess
Exactly.
Space Marines, you can take both Space Marine Adeptus Astartes and whatever your chapter-specific ones are as well. And so the big change...
Angels, Space Wolves, Dark Angels, they all have a choice of like 6 secondaries, which is, in theory, a really, really strong bonus in their favour.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not all of them are that good, though.
I was going to say, where do you want to start with some of them, or is there something you had specific you wanted to talk about in secondaries?
No, that's to start off on the talking point. So if you guys want to chip in with what you think, what has hit you. So in the game I ran last night, in my Blood Angels game versus Kraken Tyranids, I took Blade of Sanguinius, which I now rate as the best secondary that I'm going to consider and probably take all the time. I also ran... What the fuck did I run? I've forgotten what I ran. Oh, that's a blank and a mind fart there. I forgot where I ran. What did I run? I did not run Oaths. I chose not to run Oaths. Oh, that's right. I took a Border Witch because he was Tyranids and he had a cackload of Psychers and Zoanthropes and other such stuff. And I took no Prisoners because he had a crap load of wounds that were worth killing. So they seem no-brainers.
So, why do you rate Blade of Sanguinius so highly?
Because it's not just a scoring tool, it's also a tactical tool. If I take Blade of Sanguinius, which has changed now from I choose a character that's issued a challenge, you choose a character to answer the challenge, I now choose who gets to answer the challenge. And then you get 5 points if they die, you get 10 points if they die to a melee attack, you get 15 if they die to a melee attack from the character that issued the challenge. Which is fine. I mean, you're a Blood Angel army. You're gonna kill stuff in melee. That's kind of a given. So for me, that's largely a given 10 VP. And if they don't expose it to being attacked by a melee, then that's one character whom I've chosen that they've then decided to keep away from the front lines. I think that's pretty valuable.
It can be. It's a little bit situational, but against some armies, it can be really, really powerful.
I think most armies are going to have characters they want to be front and center. one way or another. There's not going to be very many armies that don't.
I think things like armies like Tau, they've got a lot of things like their battle suits and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they're not going to be. They're going to be difficult
wants to
for you
jump
to
forward
kill.
and shoot things.
Well, not necessarily. It might be buffing a load of other things that kill things.
Well, then you don't.
They're also got like their jump, shoot, jump shenanigans, so you can't chase it down in combat, which can be really tricky to do. So it's a really powerful. I think it's good, and I do like it. But there are a couple of armies, or if they've got like just shit tons of screening, where they're like, "Well, I'm going to sit here in my massively screened army. You can try and kill me if you like." But against a lot of armies, I think it's super gained in strength.
Yeah. Ultimately, the reason why I rate it so highly is because it's not just VP scoring potential. It is also now a tactical tool for me to get you to keep your frontline characters away from the front line, or I'll score a load of points. Cheers.
It's gone from something that I picked because it was cool to something that I picked because I think is actually good.
And if you issue the challenge with Dante, you can just charge him in, and if they kill him, great, because he fights on death for free. Brilliant.
Very true.
If it's anybody else, you might pay your 2 CP if you got them anyway.
So the game last night, I picked my opponent's Broodlord. And their Broodlord just spent most of the game sitting at the back of the table on its own objective.
Yeah.
Did you get the points at the end or no?
I did. I charged 5 Death Company with Thunderhammers that had survived all the way till turn 3, which I was fucking shocked about, frankly, and hammered him into the ground after he killed Dante.
Cool.
Okay. Is there anything you want to touch?
There's a couple that we've lost that I wasn't so pleased about.
Like what?
I don't use them with the Blood Angels, but the 2 that I ran like consistently with my Custos was To the Last and Stranglehold.
I'm sad to see them go as an Eldar player. I'm happy to see them go as a player of everything else in the game because they were bad for the game.
To the Last was
To the Last meant you had your most expensive stuff there to kill it. If they don't kill it, you gain the points, which I quite like if you're going to run like a really elite army.
Yeah, but it also was kind of gamey a little bit in that, like, you could leave a Warlord. It wouldn't be a Warlord Titan, but you could leave like a Knight with 1 out of 28 wounds, and because of that, you get no victory points. I think that's why they changed it. I remember I was playing against Colin, and he was running those Mythic Blight Haulers, and he's running squads of 3 of them, 9 wounds, -1 damage, just general Death Guard, like resilience, and it's 27 wounds to chew through on a toughness 7 or something, and it's like killing all 3 of them is impossible.
Another culprit and big reason why it was a problem was a popular Eldar tactic was to take it with Baharoth, the Cry of the Wind, the Swooping Hawk's Phoenix Lord, who can bounce backwards and forwards with unlimited range every turn of the game and still contribute to the battle, shoot you, charge you, and then fuck off somewhere you can't do anything against him.
Baharoth was a bit broken, just full stop.
He's still a bit broken, but now that To the Last is gone, he's less of a problem.
So, would you guys run Astaroth now then, just to take Blade of Sanguinius?
Poor Reziel.
No, but he is a good choice to have in your army to do it with. I think he's probably the best in one package Blood Angels killy jumpy unit that you can bring.
Oh, do you know what? I've just thought of an interesting option. What about Blade of Sanguinius with a Sanguinor and having him start off the table?
Why?
Because he can regulate and intervene anywhere in the board.
He can heroically intervene somewhere that your opponent has charged you. Mm-hmm. So your sort of window for doing that is limited.
I suppose.
He would have to have charged another of your units with the character that you want to be the target. So it's possible. I just wouldn't think it as reliable as a tactic, personally.
No, just as a screwing with the enemy tactic. Okay.
Lots of people in chat liking.
Yeah, everybody likes him.
I don't rate him. I'm still not going to take him in competitive.
No, I haven't got him
either. Inceptors. Now that they will once again score engage on all front points, attack bikes once again scoring engage on all front points. Do we like them or do we not like them?
I still prefer land speeders.
I never stopped running Inceptors. I still like them. I ran them last night. They did a lot of work. attack bikes I've gone away from.
You run plasma inceptors, though, right?
That's right, yes.
Bolter inceptors for the nice cheap units, or not really?
I'm not hurting for high volume bolt of firepower. That's not something I need in my list, really.
Okay.
If
I
you're running
always
a lot of
liked them
Sangard, you've got
for-
a lot of Angelus bolt guns, so you can put a lot of that stuff out there anyway.
I suppose. You definitely have
Cassie
a bit.
just said about Blade and the Libby Dread. The Libby Dread is amazing for killing a thing with Blade.
Yeah,
The only
especially
downside
with
is that you can't drop him
Sanguinius.
down. But he will just murderify one thing. He's just a missile.
Yeah. I mean, you could say the same thing about Mephiston. Easy to hide, or equally Wings of Sanguinius.
Yeah, but he doesn't hit as hard.
So that's
He
true.
doesn't.
Fine, alright, whatever.
That's that stupid D3 sword that he needs to get rid of and have a proper flat 3 sword. Then I'd be like riding the Mephiston hype train for the
Okay.
stabbingness.
Another thing they've done in Nephilim, which is useful, John, I don't know if you want to like show off pages, I don't know, 10
Sure.
and 11 or something on the stream, is these little black strips down the side. They list all the faction secondaries in that category, so you can see at a glance what secondaries you can choose from for each of the 5 categories, which is a useful quality of life change that they've done to the game. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's brilliant, actually, because the amount of times that you're flicking back and forth through the book, this is one of the best.
Yeah. What if Mephiston had a flat damage 2 sword?
I don't know if it would make much difference. There needs to be 3. How about our nerf to Oath of Moment? Our big, lovely
I'm cool with it.
secondary.
I wouldn't say that I like it, because obviously it's nerfed it for an army that I play, but it's made it more balanced, it's made it more in line that you're going to score an average of 8 to 10. Yes, it's been nerfed. I do not think it is untakeable. I would still strongly consider playing it.
Yeah. I really liked the look of shock tactics when I first looked at it. However, the one thing that I really don't like about it is it's going to be almost impossible to score in turn 1. The wording
Depending on
is
who takes first turn. Yeah, it's fair.
at the end of your turn, score 3 victory points if you control 1 or more objective markers that are controlled by your opponents at the start of that turn. And obviously, you pick your objectives before you know who's going first or second. So,
you?
Yeah, you pick your secondaries before you know who's going first or second. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, secondaries. Yeah, sorry, right. Oh, that was another thing that I did not know before playing the game last night. Blade of Sanguinius, you only have to choose who your target is after the roll for first turn. So you can see what your opponent has deployed where before
really?
you pick who Blade of Sanguinius is targeting.
Oh wow. Okay,
Which is another tasty little thing.
that is actually kind of tasty. Don't make me drop Mephiston for Astaroth, Mark. Don't make me do it.
Relentless all the way. I like the fact that Relentless and Behind Enemy Lines are still... We get to choose one or the other based on what the army is facing if you want to go for Relentless or Behind Enemy Lines. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, I do like that.
It's a nice little strength that Blood Angels have that I like. Eldar secondaries haven't changed, and they were a bit shit before, and they're a bit now. So there we go. That's an Eldar thing. Craftworld Eldar thing specifically. Knights objectives haven't changed. I must confess I haven't paid too much attention to them.
They're still not particularly good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's one of their weak spots. Sisters, they've changed a little bit, but not outrageously. They've got quite good choices comparatively.
Yeah.
I think the sort of core ones are a bit weaker. Maybe. Certainly a lot less of them. And you're sort of a little bit now reliant on how good your faction ones are.
Yeah. You seem to be able to rely on general secondaries scoring 8 to 10 rather than relying on them score up to 15 in some cases.
Yeah. I've been looking at the Custodes ones. Might of Terror is all right at the moment if you've got the right sort of army build. If you've gone with like big blobs of Custodian Guard, which is really the only way to play them at the moment, then that can be quite good.
Custodes got screwed as well. Then they get 3, where everybody else got 4.
What about
and they're not outrageously good either.
Foz asks, what about non-named characters for Blade? Jump Libby turning off invols. Bike chappy that can take a hit, another option. So issuing the challenge, I assume you mean there, Foz, which makes sense. Yeah, if you built a character for it, absolutely.
Yeah, a few people have been talking about the bike chaplain like he's died. He's still really good. It's just that because you've got a little bit less CP, then he comparatively costs a little bit more than he previously did to build him. But he's not any worse than he ever was. He's still massively tanky, hits really hard, a great character.
But because you're spending so much CP on him,
because you've got to spend a couple of CP on him as well.
More of an investment in your army. Yeah. You want to be running him if you do a battalion or something like that. But yeah, no reason not to.
Would you guys be mad if I don't run Dante in my next list?
No, not bad. Just disappointed.
I've already said that I don't like named characters in lists.
How are Tau secondaries for all of us that are still playing them? I mean,
well, they're in the book. Show them off, yeah, sure. I mean, if you're playing Tau, then you've got to rethink your life choices right then and there. Because
decisive action. If you select Montcar Tactical at the start of the battle, then at the end of your turn in battle rounds 1, 2, and 3, score 4 victory points. You control half or more of the total number of objectives on the battlefield. If you selected Cayenne, then at the end of battle rounds 3, 4, and 5, score 4 if you have half or more on the battlefield. That's an interesting one. It doesn't seem that strong either. It's capping at 12.
None of them are that strong. They're another one that's got pretty weak secondaries, unfortunately.
Because Tau were a powerful faction, they got targeted for not having great secondaries, basically.
So they're very killy, but like the clean victory one, which is kind of their killy objective, you've got to do so much damage. It's if you're playing against someone that's running a lot of MSU, then clean victory can suddenly become really powerful.
Mike, would you back us as a Patreon for a few quid a month because you're getting value out of what we do if John runs Dante in his list? Is that what you're saying? Because we'll pressure the fuck out of him for that, don't worry.
If you're playing Tau, clean victory is good if you're playing against an opponent that's running MSU.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's nothing there that I would particularly think I'm going to take that. I'd probably stick with the core ones, engage.
Andrew ran aerospace against me once, and it didn't seem horrendous, but I guess the problem with it is you basically end up having to do it with like battle suits because you need something that's really mobile because you've got to bounce around like all 4 table edges of the map.
I mean, it's doable and it does. You can score, but every time I've seen it used, it sort of ended up on getting sort of like the 6, maybe the 9 victory points, never more than that.
Yeah,
John, mate, you've got to run Dante and you've got to not hide him all game.
God. We'll see.
Brilliant. Love it.
Bad experience.
Tony's still suffering a little from his illness, so if he goes mute for a while and doesn't realise he hasn't unmuted himself, then that's what it is.
Sisters, though, are going to be back. How do we feel about Sisters? Because
they were pretty good before. They're even better now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I'm given to understand that their secondaries are now very powerful.
Yeah, they
comparatively.
And Sisters themselves, they're just so cheap for what they can do.
And of course, they are also beneficiaries of Armour of Contempt these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bane Blades and Armour of Contempt now. Anyway, sorry.
Bane Blades are suddenly actually pretty good.
We'll get to that in a minute. That's like section 4. I shouldn't have jumped ahead there. What secondaries are on your hit list, John? If you're going to be playing shortly?
It's a good question. I still like either Behind Enemy Lines or Relentless Assault. Like, to me, Behind Enemy Lines seems like the safer choice. But it really depends on how fast or how quick the opponent is, because it's typically easy to get a couple of units behind for Blood Angels.
It depends on what they're running, whether the mission makes them spread out. Incidentally, Rathabal I still reckon is a must-take Blood Angels relic.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I don't like Fury of the Lost. I don't run enough Death Company to make it work. I think I
love that they changed Fury of the Lost so that you get VP for killing your Death Company. That's brilliant. I'm so glad they did that.
I guess if you're running 3 or 4 Death Company, it might work, but less than that, I'd be tempted to say I don't like it.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of hype around Death from Above.
Yeah,
I actually don't like it either.
Above at the moment.
Do you? I don't like it.
you know what? I like the fact that even if they came on another turn, that they still get that. Which
Oh,
means
Tony, yeah. What are you drinking, Tony?
Water.
He's got COVID. He's on water, same as me this week.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still full of COVID. I go back to work tomorrow, so I've got to be like vaguely human.
Yeah, the death from above for me feels like it's cutesy. Like you're trying to put too many things into reserve. I'd rather have
Fury of
them.
the Lost, I feel that it's good if you build for it. You can.
If you've got a lot of jump pack units, I think
you
what I
can build
really
an
like
army
about
around
it
them,
is the
you can
fact that
rely
you
on
still
maximum.
get a victory point on later turns.
Yeah.
Which means that even if you didn't stick your Sanguinary Guard or whatever into reserves, you can wings them off the board, bring them back down, and then score it later.
Yeah, I mean that part is great.
Which is pretty handy because you could also do that with someone like Dante.
Yeah.
Take him off the board, bring him back down, and then anything he kills.
You need to have core to do wings these days. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, like if you have 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard, if you started one off the board, and then turn 1 you wings, or turn 1 and 2 you wings of fired another one. Yeah, I guess you could get some pretty reliable points out
Or you
of
put
it.
the scepters down, or you take something off with guerrilla tactics, like some eliminators or something. They come back on and shoot something. Yeah.
I think because we've got so many ways of putting things in and out of reserve, that it can be quite powerful.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to take it though.
I wouldn't take it for a general list. I would only take it for a list that had been built to make the most out of it.
Yeah, so for me, I guess Relentless are behind. I'm slightly interested in Blade based on what you said there about when you actually pick it. I'm probably still going to do Nephilim data or banners. I just think it's a very safe.
I'm leaning into banners more than Nephilim these days.
Are you both up to speed with the changes on banners?
I think so.
So banners are now much more solid a pick than they ever used to be.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you don't lose them whenever an enemy just walks onto the objective anymore.
How do you lose them then? Sorry.
I think the enemy has to actually claim it properly and score it.
Oh, right. They actually have to control the objective marker
Yeah.
at the start of any command phase.
So you can't just walk one person onto a tip of it with their base and then
So
say,
if
"Oh,
they
the
go
banner's
in
been
there, you
taken
can kill
down."
them back off.
Yeah, so they can't put like an offset guy on either. If you have something that could heroically intervene and kill that offset guy, it's still your objective.
Yeah, they've got to actually actively take it off you at the end of the turn.
Brian's been doing data, death, and relentless, and he's been doing pretty well with it.
Yeah, seems well.
Yeah.
How many units you starting in Deep Strike, Brian?
Yeah, I would like to know that. That's a good question. And what units as well?
See, I was before this book came out, I was convinced I was going to drop my Terminators, and my Terminators do typically always come down in Deep Strike and do always kill something, sometimes multiple things, because they're Terminators and they're pretty darn survivable, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I guess in most of my games, my Terminators would score me 4 points, maybe even sometimes 9 points, and so that I could easily put something else in.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Like you said, it's going to be opponent and army dependent, but it's a pretty good thing to have to think about when you're picking your secondaries.
Yeah.
Psychic Interrogation's another one that can be quite powerful.
Well, that was what I was about to mention. Psychic Interrogation caught my eye for having been buffed usefully over what it did previously. Now, on a successful cast, if there are any characters at all within 24 inches, you pick the one with the lowest leadership, and if your roll equals or beats that leadership, you get a free CP, which is very tasty.
Yeah.
It is also the one that can be reliably denied.
It can be, but if you're playing against an opponent that can't reliably deny it, then suddenly it becomes really good.
I have strongly considered in a Blood Angels list running a jump pack librarian specifically to give me the option of either doing Psychic Interrogation or running in with Null Zone and something else for the sake of utility if I choose not to take Psychic Interrogation. I think that's got some solid play to it.
Or if you've got loads of stuff in your army and they haven't got that many denies, so you're playing, I don't know, your Grey Knights or you're playing as Thousand Suns or someone like that, or Eldar, you've got loads of Psychers anyway. So by the time you get round to doing that, which is going to be the last one you're going to cast, hopefully you've brought all his denies out anyway.
So Brian says his jump pack units were a chaplain, 4 vets, and death company with power swords. All right, cool. David mentions about the FAQ change and the 6-inch charge with units in terrains and walls. I am aware that's a thing. Just like a few other people, I would advise you not expect that to last. Because I think that was an error by GW. I think they wrote the rules poorly. I think that interaction is going to go away very quickly. Or tournaments. The WTC, for example, have already said they're not going to be running that shit. So don't get used to it.
Yeah, that's another thing Brian's brought up with the pods. Of course, you can get death from above with drop pods.
Yeah, in turn
so
1.
If you lean into a drop poddy sort of assault list because you're...
If you want to build for DFA, take a drop pod unit that will shoot some shit straight away.
Yeah, or just stab some shit.
Otherwise, you're giving up scoring potential on turn 1, which is a bad idea.
If you play Flesh Terrors, you can stick Seth in there, who counts as a different unit. You can stick a little 5-man Death Company in there. You can stick... you've still got 4 slots to put in Company Champion in there. Sorry, Company Champion or Chapter Champion in there.
Yeah.
And now you've suddenly got 3 or 4 different units that are all massively killy, all of which can get this death from above.
Another little trick I've had my eye on is the Inquisitor Kotiaz. If you want to bring him, he could do Psychic Interrogation or a couple of other powers. He's also got an ability that denies your opponent the ability to play a stratagem unless they spend an extra CP, which obviously is much more powerful in the strangling CP sort of economy that we're in these days.
Yeah, I've stuck a Calidus in my list at the moment for similar reasons.
Yeah.
Because you've got so few starting CP, it makes the Alpha Strike even shitter for your opponent.
I think Psychic Interrogation for me is only good if you play against people that have no psychers.
Yeah, but if you are playing against someone who's got no psychers...
Yeah, I'm just saying, because I played it...
That's fine.
I played it against that Tyranids player, and he got 3 points on Psychic Interrogation or something.
At which point you say, right, I'm not using him for Psychic Interrogation, I'll use him for Null Zone and what's the other quickening thingy?
My Heroes.
Yeah, whatever else. Quicken Time, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
I think
Null Zone against the Tyranid army is pretty useful.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is just general rule of thumb. If the opponent has denies, don't take Psychic Interrogation ever. It doesn't matter how many denies they have.
Well, if you've got a shitload of Psychic, it's not such a big deal. It's like, well, you've got a choice here. You can deny me getting these 3 points, or you can watch me murderfy your whole army with this massive Psychic phase.
Okay.
If anybody wants to ask any specific questions about secondaries, now is a good time to do so, because we've basically talked to them a bit, and we're going to move on in a couple of minutes to points changes and stuff. So, ask your questions if you got them. And remember, stupid questions, sarcastic answers. Deal with it.
Why is Codex Warfare still so shit?
Because it was written by Gilliman.
Okay. Good answer.
It's probably not shit for certain armies that can fight in both Devastator and Tactical and Assault Doctrine.
If you built like a perfect Ultramarines army that was exactly as designed in the Codex, then you probably do all right with it.
I feel like it's a big ask, but yeah.
What would be the best secondaries to take with Astaroth? I mean, don't take Astaroth. That's the answer for you. There you go.
I think you have to take Blade of Sanguinius and just launch him at the enemy. I mean, what else does he do?
Seems fair.
Yes, Kata, very viable now.
Oh, God, I'm going to have to give you a break on sarcastic answers because you're a Patreon, aren't I? Yeah.
Nah, just go nuts.
Why do you think Tactical Marines are viable?
He's not. He's taking a piss.
He's having a
Okay.
laugh.
All right.
Because Mark said he's going to give a sarcastic answer.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God. I thought I'd missed something. Tactical Marines. Even at 12 points a model, I don't think they're viable. This is... Okay, we'll get to that next.
All right,
We're
so-
moving on in a minute. Anything else? So are we wrapping on secondaries for now?
Let's wrap on secondaries unless somebody wants to ask
But
anything about
it's
it.
a big improvement on secondaries, giving
Yeah.
all the factions secondaries. I hope when we move
All
into
rebalanced in one go with the same sort of level of balance applied universally across the board. They're all in the same place, so if you want to see what secondaries your opposing armies can score, go ham. It's
I
a great
think
change.
this is
I
a
like
really
it.
good step forward. I think there's still some
Yeah.
work on the balancing because some factions have got better secondaries than others. And
But
though
equally
they
so
will
that can be a balancing mechanic to beef them up a bit or bring them down a bit if they're over or underperforming.
yeah, but some of them did just get shitty secondaries.
Yeah.
Guard, who really didn't need shitty secondaries when they've got shitty everything else as well. Gene Stealer Cults.
Fair enough. All right.
I can sort of understand it with some of the killier armies, but unfortunately, some of the shitter armies got bad secondaries too.
Points changes are now no longer in the chapter approved books. They are now digital, which means A, you're not paying for the paper used to publish points changes, and B, they are no longer written 6 months in advance of the book coming out, therefore being colossally out of date with the meta at the time. They're only now, I don't know what, they don't even have to be a day out of date from where they think the meta is. So digital points being free to all is great for accessibility and also for relevance, which is nice.
hopefully for better updates on things that are irrelevant, right?
Yeah, I mean we've had some. We've had quite a few, really, haven't they? Obviously, the poster boy for irrelevant units getting an update is the assault squad.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think they're relevant now, or do you think they're still irrelevant?
I ran a unit of 10 assault marines in my list last night.
You didn't.
I
You
bloody well
meta
did.
chasing.
Yeah. I mean, I
Docs, I'm
proxied
not gonna
some of them,
swear.
because I don't have all the models, but I've been busy converting them, so they're right here with their plasma pistols and other such shit, freshly magnetized bases and stuff. So
Wow.
yeah, we'll go into assault.
10 assault marines. And did you combat squad them, or how did you play them?
Oh, absolutely, combat squadded them because I was running a vanguard detachment based around elites and no troops. I wanted a couple of cheap, fast assault units to just jump forward really quickly, turn one or two, get onto objectives. I used one fast attack slot on a unit of 5 plasma inceptors for the punch, and the other slot I put into the 10 combat marines, combat squadded them, so I effectively had 2 cheap-ass squads of assault marines jumping forward at 14 inches to sit on an objective and claim some points, draw some enemies out. And they got free upgrades. I'll take that. 180 points for 10 marines with jump packs and plasma pistols and power swords.
I'm actually kind of surprised when you break it down like that. It makes you wonder why Reavers and some other like Primaris units still exist, don't you?
Yeah.
Reaver's got points drop, didn't you notice?
How do you feel about taking Vanguard
notice.
over a battalion? I like it. I think it worked well for me in that game, Catapult. I think there are some matchups in which it won't work for me. I think the only reason it would work for me long term is because I'm taking Rights of War as well, which is a change I've made to the list that I've published previously. It's a work in progress. But it is a choice. It's a 3 CP choice. That's half your starting CP. So it's a significant choice to make in this building.
Yeah, I don't feel like I would pick that just because of the 3 CP. I think my incursors can do just about the same as the assault marines.
That's fair. I chose to do it that way because I didn't want to have to start them forward. I wanted to be able to start them back and then jump forward a long way in order to get them where I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to use bikes instead, but I didn't have enough fast attack slots to use bikes. That's why I went with a single unit of 10 assault marines instead.
Makes sense. Okay, I wasn't sure. I know some people were very excited about the assault marines. I just don't think I rate them over incursors.
Fair enough. Do you think the loss of an HQ choice is an issue? Not for me. I was running it very bare bones. I ran Dante, I ran a Sanguinary Priest, and I ran a Sanguinary Ancient, who's obviously an elite character. Those 3 characters hit my character limit of 3 so that I don't get too overburdened on Assassinate, and that did the job for me fine. Perfectly happy with those.
Yeah, I mean, the Sanguinius Ancient is essentially a HQ choice and not the HQ slot, isn't he? Which is fine.
Other points changes of note. Tau, Tyranids, and Eldar got points increases across a lot of the board for them, which is to be expected considering they're basically ruling the roost. Robute Guillermin went down from 380 points to 300 points. And he's still shit.
Is he?
He's a good force multiplier, but he's shit in a fight. You put him up against Abaddon, he'll die in a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah,
I mean,
man,
you just have a 3-up in Von save. I mean,
dies against Abaddon.
I don't dislike a 3-up in Von save, to be honest.
I also like the 12-inch aura he's got when all the buffs he gives it in 12-inch. It's fairly tasty.
Yeah, I think 300 points for Guilliman. I mean, Ultramarines still need a Codex this edition, right?
Yeah, rumour has it they're going to get their new Codex supplement Ultramarines alongside Codex Space Marines 9th Ed version 2 at the end of this year or the start of next year, whenever that comes.
That's the one thing that I still want to... You know, this is the 3rd chapter approved book we've got. Some armies still don't have their Codex from 9th. Yeah. 9th came out like June 2020 or something. It's over 2 years now.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an acceptable amount of time to have to wait for a Codex. I'm sorry, I just want to say that. I just don't think it's acceptable.
You're absolutely right, it's not, but it's also the game. It's the publishing schedule and the writing. There's not a lot you can do about it, really.
Well, they could stop adding new armies. Until everybody's got a Codex. I mean, I think that might help. I'm bitter about that. I mean, we got our Codex early, but I just... I wasn't until I played Brett most recently and realised that, like, you know, he's been struggling with Terminators that have 1 wound less than us that cost the exact same points for 2 years. 2 fucking
Codex
years.
Space Marines is going to be a nice shake-up for the meta. I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out. There's a lot of stuff in Codex Space Marines. Other points changes of note. Eliminators got 3 las fusils, which caught a lot of attention.
It has caught a lot of attention, hasn't it? I like it. I thought the las fusils were decent.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. They're cheap. There's not that many of them. You can move, shoot, move from safety. Not a lot of reason not to take eliminators, I don't think.
Yeah, I think I want a second squad of them, honestly. We
Tony, if you've been talking, then you muted. So we haven't heard anything you've been saying, if you've been saying anything.
I was just sort of letting you roll on. I think it might be interesting to talk about some of the less talked about points changes, because I know like you say, you know, everyone's been very excited about the 3 las fusils and things like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of the changes in other armies have been interesting. The most meaningful one that I have spotted is the fact that Razorbacks with the twin assault cannon, the twin assault cannon has gone up by 10 points.
Yeah. See, the most meaningful one I thought
down by 10 points, but that's important.
I thought you were going to mention the points changed to good old Mr. Trajan Valoris.
Well, it's another one that's been talked about, hasn't it? He was too cheap. I think now he's too expensive. They've sort of, as with a lot of these things, it's like massive swings.
Overreacted.
They've over-egged him a bit. He was probably all right when he started out. He should be about 180 points. Feels about right for him. At 200, it's kind of, yeah, I'm not going to bring him. He's way too expensive now.
Fair enough.
Sorry?
I think you're 100% right. Which I don't get. They keep doing these massive like disparity swings. Yeah. The Gladiator tank was an interesting one, right? Because the Gladiator tank has gone down like three editions in a row, or 3 chapter approved in a row. It's gone down.
I don't mind that. Little bits till you sort of feel it out and get it about right seems to be better than fuck it, knock 100 points off.
It feels and it looks like they're punishing the units that they do this massive overreaction to, for like, right, you were OP for a bit, we're going to make you ridiculously unplayable now.
So I think that's a little bit too much. So other meaningful changes.
Obviously, the big one for Blood Angels is Sangard Death Company, and some twat called Astaroth went down a bit as well, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gladiators went down. Sisters got a few reductions.
So
tell me, do you know the difference of the Sisters lists?
Yeah.
Or the Sisters points?
You got that big list in front of you, have you?
Yeah. So Sisters have a couple of interesting changes. So they've got a couple of inconsequential ones to, like the Sacrosankt's gone down by a couple of points. Celestians have gone down by a point. Probably still not going to run. Certainly not Celestians. But the weird one that is quite interesting is the fact that they've dropped a couple of points off Seraphim and Zephyrim. And Seraphim and Zephyrim were the best units, arguably, anyway. I mean, you can argue that it's the Repentia, but the Zephyrim and Seraphim are brilliant. So knocking a couple of points off of them, they're really cheap now. Yeah, Seraphim are 12 points a model.
Storm Surge's got fucked. You're not right.
Which is really, really cheap. So that's quite... Sisters players who are leaning heavily into Zephyrim and 9-inch charging like that, they've really benefited from those changes. Another really quite significant change has been to Thousand Suns, which people aren't really talking about. The Hellbrute's gone down by 10 points, which is nice. It's a Dreadnought. It's only 105 points now, which is super cheap.
I understand Death Guard got buffed a bit.
They did. But the big change to Thousand Suns that has really been interesting is to their rubrics. Now, rubrics previously were pretty good. They're 21 points, and they've got all this dust and things like that. But their Icons of Flame, which are really good, are now free. Their Soul Reaper Cannon's gone down to 5 points, which is super cheap. But you can give them all Warp Flamers now for 3 points each. So teleporting around units of rubrics with Warp Flamers is horrifically dangerous and really cheap now. They're 24 points a model with a Warp Flamer. And you can give the Sorcerer a Warp Flame Pistol for free.
These Terminators, are they?
No, this is your basic rubrics.
Oh, okay.
You know, and a change to sort of the core unit is that it's got really big ramifications. Because remember, they have recently gained Armor of Contempt. They have got all his dust as well. So they're all sitting on like 2-up armor saves against damage 1 weapons and Armor of Contempt. And they've only got 21 points each. And they've all got these horrific flamers with AP -2 on them, which you can buff up to really high strength and do loads of damage with. So I think rubric heavy Thousand Suns lists are going to be something worth looking out for.
Remind me what Icon of Flame does. It's like you do mortal wounds on a 6 or something with...
Yeah, it's got a couple of interactions, though, with, like, strats. And so they get their... We're not going to go, because it's not Thousand Suns episode, but they have their Cabal points, which allow them to do funky stuff. Yeah, make getting... when we talked about Psychic Interrogation earlier, means they can get off, you know, unstoppable psychic spells and things like that. Your Icon of Flame gives you a lot of extra... Or stacks up to give you a lot of extra Cabal points. Meaning you can have these unstoppable, super-powered spells going off everywhere. So running loads of rubrics with loads of Icons of Flame is really powerful now. So I think they're going to be something to look out for. I think they've really benefited from this.
Okay. Do you know what? I fought Thousand Suns a couple of times this edition. I thought they were strong anyway.
Yeah.
So, and that was pre-Armor of Contempt.
They're an interesting army. They're a bit like Custodes were earlier on, where they are really powerful into some enemies. If you've got the wrong matchup and the wrong list to fight them, you're in real trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But against other armies that are really strong against that kind of thing, they've got loads of mortal wound protection, like going into Custodes, for example, then they become quite weak as well. So they're quite a swingy army. They're win big, lose big sort of thing.
Okay.
I'm not massively informed on them, but following the fact they've now got better secondaries and some points drops to it and something in the balanced data slate as well, I'm very interested to see how Necrons turn out.
I think Necrons will be strong now.
Yeah, I think Necrons are looking in a pretty strong place at the moment.
Well.
They do suffer a little bit from a lot of random D6 damage weapons. But now the platforms that those D6 damage weapons are on, like Destroyers now, are so cheap.
Yeah, bloody everything's
cool. You can just have loads of them and then it's not such an issue.
Yeah. Orcs got a few points reductions as well, just to rein back some of the nerfs they got previously. Make bits of them playable.
The buggies in that can now be running 3 individual units as well, which is a big improvement. The
buggies are also now shit since the changes to indirect fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not just the buggies. It would be the scrap jets and the shock dragsters.
Yeah, this is getting into balanced day slate now. So do we want to wrap up points changes, or are there any other points changes that are worth mentioning or saying anything about? Or any...
Ball Predators.
Oh, yeah, hang on. I've got one important one.
Tell me.
How come everybody's Land Raiders went down by 20 points except Custodes?
Because Custodies are OP, and you still see them on top tables in tournament
Everybody else has got them, has got Armor of Contempt, and they're 20 points cheaper.
What'll be funny is when Space Marines Land Raiders got to toughness 9, and their last cannons do more damage, and the Custodies ones don't.
Yeah.
That'll be funny.
It was just so random. It's like, but why don't any of them get that? Aren't they identical?
I guess they're taking some steps forward to a more balanced, but it seems like there's still issues, I guess.
Storm Raven got a points drop. You going to run one?
No.
No.
No, still not going.
I would like to run one.
If you run Dante in a list, and we gain Mike as a Patreon, as he said he would. Incidentally, if you do find value in what we're talking about, and it's humorous and funny and stuff, do consider chucking us a few quid every month. Drop us a like, subscribe, all that shit. Then I'll run a Storm Raven or 2, or a Storm Eagle if you prefer, or a Ziphon Interceptor. Yeah, for sake of argument. Flyers are shit now, but you never know; they might actually be useful. I haven't tried them in a while.
We should probably check the chat. I think the chat's run away with us a little bit here.
No, I'm keeping watching chat. It's fine. Reziel's just like holding court. It's fine.
Space Marine Flyers have not been good this edition. Space Marine Armor hasn't been good this edition either.
I still like
lastly, then,
Talon, although it took a bit of a nerf in some ways with Armor of Contempt because its guns are all low AP.
Yeah,
but I still like it. I still think it's fairly cheap for what it does.
Vehicles still suffer from lack of rerolls and buffs from not being core, but the Armor of Contempt and the points drops are helping them a little bit. I'd consider a Gladiator Lancer just a little bit more now than I would previously.
I was going to say, how about the other 2 Gladiators, though? Right, the anti-tank one with the multi-meltas, or the upgraded Ball Predator? Either of them, either close. Are they getting anywhere near the realms of possibility of fielding them, or they're not even on the radar yet?
The Gladiator doesn't bring anything that you haven't got elsewhere in your army, and the Melter Gladiator is still too confused to me.
You can't get elsewhere.
So, how many points would the Daka Gladiator need to be?
I don't know why it's more points than the Lancer.
Yes, it's like 30 more points than the Lancer. It's 180.
Like 30 more points, and I feel it's got a less useful.
Well, it's got 2 Tempest Bolters, which are
it's
like.
Got lots of Daka.
How much is a squad of 3 Bolter Interceptors?
120.
Yeah, thereabout. Maybe, I don't know, a few points less than that.
That's how low you think it would need to be to take it?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Okay, so it's like double the cost.
Yeah, no.
At the moment.
It's way too many points at the moment. There's no chance of me bringing it.
Kratos. Did either of you guys get a Kratos tank?
I did not get a new Kratos tank.
Hey,
but it's on my radar.
Spam. Woohoo! Hello, naked XYZ cheap sex.
Ooh, yeah.
Look at that. I'll have that. No, thank you.
I'll leave that to you.
He's come over from my channel. Jeez, he found us. Thought we could get. James is asking about your shirt, Mark.
Yeah, so the T-shirt is a Warhammer World exclusive from 3 or 4 years ago that they've since discontinued. I'm afraid it is not something you can get your hands on anymore unless they start to redo it.
Oh, we need to make
Heresy one. It's not a Blood. It's a Blood Angels Legion one from the Heresy stuff. Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, sorry, we were talking about the Kratos, weren't we? I haven't bought one yet, but I do want one.
Can we make Rez a mod?
Yes, we can.
Rez is a mod, isn't he?
It's a mod on my channel,
but he's on BAC, but not here.
Alright, done. Rezi will use a moderator for the channel.
Woohoo! There you go.
I like the Kratos. I still like that new Horus Heresy box. I want both of them, but I went ahead and bought, for probably a YouTube video at some point in the future, a version of Space Crusade. You guys saw that, right?
Yeah, I'm so jealous of you.
I haven't opened it yet.
Such a cool box set to have all nice and neat and painted up. And
on that note, there's rumours about a new version of Space Hulk coming.
No, there's rumours of Kill Team,
There's
the
definitely
picture they
rumours
put for Kill Team is of a cat, and because you get cats in Space Hulk,
alongside
started
the
saying
rumours of Primaris Terminators coming with that thing that got leaked off Reddit a few days ago is rumours of those Primaris Terminators being used in a new edition of Space Hulk.
I hope not.
I will give into the Horus Heresy box. I will do it, and I think that an upgraded Space Hulk would be great. It would be just my luck though if there becomes an upgraded Space Crusade. But I feel like, I mean,
If they
the company,
sold the old Space Hulk, I'd buy it tomorrow.
yeah,
Like, immediately.
the Terminators from that box set were very,
Yeah.
very, very good. You can get it on eBay. It's not too bad on eBay. Like maybe double RRP.
They've gone down a bit now that it's no longer like brand new, freshly released.
But
Yeah.
I think if they make a new version of it and they stick Primaris Terminators in it, it would just be soulless. The whole thing was those
Probably.
incredible monopose sculpts. Do you remember the guy, the dead Terminator on the throne?
I've-
and all that sort of stuff?
yeah,
And there
I've
won't
got
be
them.
any of that.
They're in my cabinets here. Yeah, absolutely.
So they'll kill all the soul out of it
So
if they
good.
do that. So I really hope they don't.
Depends on what they would do with Primaris Terminators. I'll reserve judgment until I see how badly they fuck them up. But yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Primaris Terminators, yeah, sure, I'll buy those. I just don't want a new soulless Space Hulk box to sell them.
Yeah, seems fair.
And why do you think Primaris are soulless? Like, what makes them soulless?
It's because they won't want to make special. If you think of the old Space Hulk box, they had each individual Terminator was a character. Basically.
They were named.
They
They,
were
had a
monoposed,
special
they were named.
pose. They were ornate
Yeah.
as fuck. It was they
They
all
were
gorgeous
Blood
models.
Angels.
So,
you know,
so,
through and
so,
through. Whereas the new ones, if they do a box, the chances are it will be the generic multipose Primaris Terminator that everybody gets, and
Maybe.
that's not the same thing.
I mean, Space Marine Heroes, I feel like, is a good example of that, right? Because Space Marine Heroes, if you bought the Terminators, they were like a named Blood Angels Terminator on the card.
Have you seen
But-
the Blood Angels from Space Hulk? Have you seen the models?
Yeah, they've got more like chapter specific heraldry and stuff on them, right?
They're ornate and named, and
But they're like the heroes. They're the same sort of thing, just different ones.
they're like the quality of sculptors Astaroth and all of that. They're really good.
But I was going to
If they release general multipose, they won't have that.
Anyway, we keep interrupting, John. Sorry.
It's okay. The Space Marine Hero kit, like I bought some of them Terminators, Space Marine Hero ones, Series 2, because Series 1 was regular ones. They weren't, none of them had like Blood Angel specific heraldry on them, right? So you could paint them any chapter. But I didn't necessarily think they were bad or soulless, like you're saying, Tony. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, but they're not multi-pose, multi-part standard kit that you get a box of 5 and you equip them how you want either. They are still monopose posed models.
Okay.
Whereas a Primaris kit is likely to be not one-off special man with a name. It will be Terminator A.
We've got a little distracting off topic,
Yeah.
which I think is mostly my fault. So the balanced data slate was the fourth part of the changes with all the Nephilim stuff. And in that, Tyranids got nerfed a shit ton, Eldar got nerfed a bunch, Harlequins got nerfed a surprising amount, really. Necrons got a ton of buffs in that they got all their previous nerfs walked back. Admech got a ton of buffs in that a lot of their previous nerfs got walked back. Guard got buffed in that their tanks got Armor of Contempt. So I think we mentioned briefly earlier, Bane Blades, Storm Hammers, all of that shit. Brilliant now. And Orcs got buffed as well. Just some of their previous nerfs changed, walked back slightly, I think.
A little bit. They're not in a great position, though, Orcs, at the moment.
No. They're not
They're
as
really-
bad as they did get nerfed into, but yeah.
They're really suffering against all the Armor of Contempt because their whole army is AP -1 and AP -2. They're really suffering from that.
Yeah. And indirect fire is pretty much dead in the water, right? How do you guys feel about indirect fire now? Are you happy with the in that like it just does nothing? Or
The two
or-
ways I was considering using it are still perfectly valid for me, so I don't really care. Suppression fire, you just need to get a hit. And if you want to build for suppression fire to be used, then you can do that. That's not a problem.
Mhm.
The Eldar indirect fire I was going to be using were the D cannons, who I can buff the to hit rolls and re rolls, and they've got stupid AP anyway, so that doesn't really bother me. The Weaver indirect fire that Eldar was using and smart missiles that Tau were using are fucked, which is pretty
as
good,
are the
really.
sweet buggies as well.
They were a bit abusive.
The D cannon, if you have a Space Marine in cover, and the D cannon can't see it, the D cannon's -4, right?
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah. So you can't see the Space Marine, so I get +1, so it's -3. I'm in cover, so take off another point, so it's -2. I have Armor of Contempt, so take off another point. So essentially, D cannons against Marines in cover, if you can't see them, are only -1, which is pretty crazy change.
Yeah.
You've gone
but
from
it's-
like instantly killing models.
Other things, it's pretty good, and even on -1, because I think it kills a Marine every hit anyway, doesn't it?
Yes, it would. It would. Yeah, but I'm just
So-
saying it. At -4, it was like
Yeah.
it was death in the trenches, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think they're still pretty good.
They're
I like
just no
playing
longer
cannons.
game dominating, which is great.
Yeah.
But that's
hate
changed from
things
6
that-
months ago. That hasn't changed.
I really dislike units that are non-interactive. So it doesn't matter how good your opponent is. It's like I can blow you off the board to know what you do. That's just not fun.
Yeah.
It's not fun to play against, and I don't think it's fun to play with either.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I saw pictures of tournaments where you basically just have 9, Hive Guard, just hiding in direct fire in buildings and just blowing everything up. And they can shoot twice and it's all nonsense.
It's just not fun.
I feel sad that my indirect isn't as powerful as it was, but I also feel don't sad having been on the receiving end of Tau smart missile spam. Fuck you, Tau. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
It was just horrific.
Okay. Anything else in the balance data slate you want to cover?
I'm not too hot on the changes it made to Tyranids, apart from the fact that it made those changes and it's made them a little bit less broken than they were. Harlequins lost a lot of the re-rolls that they got for free.
Mark, I just point out you've upset 30% of our Patreons with your anti-Tau comments.
Oh no. Boo-hoo. What can I do to make it up to... Oh no, I'm not going to ask that. That's a bad question to ask. Alright, you guys can field it for next, I don't know, a few minutes or so.
Sad times. I do. I think some people are saying upping the points for indirect fire. It's one of those weird things, though, isn't it? It's so difficult to make it go between game interesting and usable in game, or broken in game, or it's really hard to try
like aircraft in that regard.
Yeah, they just don't quite work in 40k, which is
or snipers.
Sad. Yeah, they're either irrelevant or way overpowered. I mean, you can make an argument of just making them ridiculously high points, but I think if you did that, you just wouldn't see them.
There's got to be a balance, though, right? There's got to be a balance there.
I think maybe you could have tweaked it slightly differently. Maybe having it so that you don't get your cover save or something like that because it's lobbing it over the top kind of makes sense, maybe.
Or maybe a 1 or 2 CP stratagem, maybe a 1 CP stratagem to say they ignore those penalties for a shooting
or
phase.
spotters. I like the idea of having spotters so that you can only you don't have to see it directly, but if one of your other units, say like a fast attack unit or something, can see them, then you don't get the penalty for hitting and that because you're being talked in. Something like that can be quite cool. Maybe give a use for things like scouts and that.
Yeah, that would be cool. Even if that was a strat, where if someone else can see
we've
it.
got a whirlwind bonus to hit if you've got a land speeder.
Yeah.
Something kind of along those lines for
everybody.
Indirect fire weapons.
Seems fair.
Yeah, seems like a good idea.
But it's a really hard one to balance. Rezi's already bringing up Miracle Dice because I know he hates Sisters and Miracle Dice. They got buffed, didn't they? They got their Miracle Dice buffed.
Yeah, they did
to
get
bring
it buffed
slightly more in line with the Eldar Miracle Dice, which is just better.
Yeah, it's fair. They are. So yeah, I think that's basically covered all the points of what Nephilim has done to the game in broad strokes. What do you guys think as a general thing?
I think it's a step in the right direction. I'm still going to be grumbly about that they nerfed Custodes a bit too much. But at the same time, I think that on the whole, it's a step forward. I think I like the digital points changes. I really like having all the secondaries in the book because that means you know what everybody's secondaries is. I haven't got to go out and buy every codex to read them all up. I've got them all in front of me, and it's all much more in the open. And by limiting them, they can always bring some back. Maybe they'll bring back to the last or Stranglehold and get rid of something else in the next one because they've got that option now. It's much easier to keep chopping them in and out, which I quite like. So overall, I think this is a bit of a hit rather than a miss.
Fair enough. Overall, I'm in large agreement. I like that the top meta-dominating armies have been brought down. Possibly a bit too far, but if they're too far, we've seen now that will get walked back and ameliorated next time they do something. I like that some of the low-performing armies and units are starting to get attention and buffs to bring them into a point where you consider using them, like the occasional buff to guard, the occasional buff to things like assault squads. I like that. The points changes being current, it cannot be overstated how relevant and important and useful that is. Secondaries is great. Yeah, overall, I'm quite positive about this. John?
Yeah, I'm positive as well. The cost going down was good. The rules being in the book was important. Like you said, the thing on like pages like 10 or 11 showing all the categories for all the missions, that's one of the best things in this book. Yeah. So overall, I mean, I think it's a good step in the right direction. I guess the game is more balanced. It does feel like every time they do a balance update, though, they push somebody 10-20% higher than they need to be. I would love it if we could get... I would just like the game to be more balanced. And, yeah. I mean, I guess...
do you think that's possible?
Yes. Yeah.
Tony's shaking his head.
I mean, surely it's someone's job. Like, there must be someone who's got a job, chief balance designer or something. And they have... I mean, they can pull so much data from BCP these days. They should be able to very quickly just pull...
I know what you're saying with that, John, but at the same time, we do have a habit of focusing on tournament data, and tournament play is not the same as what people play in their gaming clubs and at home and that. And if you from that, you end up having situations like with Eldar, which were massively broken if you're Stephen Box. But if you're Jeff, who's bought his boxes of Guardians and is playing down the pub with his mates, then they're broken in the other way because they're such a difficult army to use. And by nerfing them, you're saying, right, this difficult army to use is now not only difficult, but shit, unless you're Stephen Box. And that's no fun either. So you've got to be really careful about saying, oh, yes, but at the top tables. And the other one that's getting me a lot with the old top table thing is this whole idea that the top army that won the tournament, therefore that's the best army. Well, hang on, how many times we're seeing 3 units of Sanguinary Guard at the top of the table, but we're also not noticing the fact there's another army with 3 units of Sanguinary Guard at the bottom of the tables because it drew against Death Guard 3 times.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely that.
You know, what you draw has a huge bearing on it. And you've got to be really careful to try and get that. And that's why I don't think you can balance it. Unless you, as I've said before, StarCraft it and you just massively limit what people can take.
I don't know. I think balance could be a little bit better. I think the one thing that I did want to say on the Chapter Approved book is, for me personally, as someone who can only play really 1 game a week, 6 months is too quick for this.
I agree. 6 months is too quick. I'm not sure if a year's too long, but a year I feel would be better than 6 months.
I think 9 months. I think I'm exactly with you. I think a year possibly is too long because we did wait a year not too long ago, and we were like, "Wow, it's getting a bit long."
We started to chomp at the bit. Yeah.
If you sell a new book, I think points updates though. The beauty of it being digital is they can be more.
Yeah, do points updates every 3 months, but do this book every 9 months. But when you refresh this book, I would refresh the missions as well, because I think
only do it once a year. New missions, new secondaries, new season.
I think we were getting bored of the missions after we'd had the same missions for a year. So because they haven't changed the missions this time round, then I think in 6 months' time you're going to be saying, "Oh God, I'm so bored of abandoned sanctuaries," for example. But that's just my feeling. So I think actually the right time for this points, cost, and balance data slates I do every 3 months, but I would do this every 9. And that would keep the cost down for people. I know it's not a huge cost anymore. It did come down from like $25 to $15.
Still not cheap though. It's like 18 quid or something.
It's just a tax on wanting to play competitively, and I don't like it.
If you buy it through our affiliate link, you get it slightly cheaper.
Good plug. That's exactly what we needed. Please use our affiliate links.
We should rename ourselves the 3 shameless plugging grots or something. I don't know.
Yeah, 3 shills and a
3 shills on the net. Fucking hell. Cool.
So I'm having a look. Well, just having a look at the chat. What's going on here?
Yeah. Any last questions you guys want to get in? We're kind of running to the end of our monologue at this point.
Maverick's just joined us. Hi, Maverick. We're nearly finished.
Yeah. You got like an hour and a half of video to go back and watch now.
Yeah. A few people are saying about getting rid of strats.
Astaroth is objectively great. I categorically disagree that Astaroth is objectively great, but we've had that argument and we will continue to have that argument.
I think trimming back the strats wouldn't be a bad thing. There's too many, and I do think it's annoying that you've got to read every single codex to know what every single codex can have of strats. If you really want to play against it at the top, that's just.
Are we just being targeted by sex spam bots this evening? Or something?
Yeah, I love it.
What the fuck is this all about?
It's cheaper than Tinder.
Clearly, they've been.
I thought Tinder was free. How can you be cheaper than that? They pay you to go on there.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't get over
distracted now.
Okay. Oh my God, fuck sad. Sex cheaper. Sex is never cheap.
Oh yeah, they've been attracted by my opinions on Astaroth. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Thunderhawk Meta will change everything. It will. I'm going to wave it round again now.
You do that. Your paint streams have been bloody good, Tony.
Well, I gone red. Sorry, just noticed I went red briefly there.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
Has anybody in chat been watching Tony's painting streams? Because I think they're really quite cool when he's doing them. But obviously, I'm biased because I'm part of the crew, but I think they've got value. I'm enjoying them.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Your camera colour
I'm
is
not totally
really
wasting my
weird
time. What else we got? Max 5 strats a game. I'm tempted to say, Stephen, and a few people have said this, that you get rid of all the majority of the army specific ones, and you just have a couple of standard ones that everyone's got. You know, you interrupt, CP reroll, and that's about it. You know,
Yeah.
And then everybody's got the same ones, a bit like they've done with this, but you do the same thing but with stratagems. So maybe give every army a couple of strats.
Fucking another one. To send us a super chat, we need to get to 1,000 subscribers or more. Then you can send us a super chat. So in the meantime, if you want to support us for the price of a cup of coffee a month, please join and look at our Patreon.
We need subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do we get bots when we don't have 1,000 subscribers?
Cheap sex streamer recommends. Did you recommend this, Mark?
It's your raw Scottish sex appeal, John.
It's fucking is not
bringing people in. They see he's a good dad with his kids. Look at him abandoning his stream multiple times all the way through to go and deal with his child having trouble sleeping.
Demon spawn child. Yeah. I had lost it today with the kids. Actually, I had like 5 hours on my own with both kids.
Join Patreon when John runs Dante and does him aggressively and doesn't hide. No pressure, John.
There's a couple of people who saw the last stream I did. It's going to be a bit more regular when I fully get over COVID.
Have you seen the Predator leak?
Set up, and then I just started hacking away, and it's difficult to talk, paint, and cough.
There was a leak for a new Horus Heresy Predator today. Did you guys see that?
I haven't seen it, but it doesn't surprise me in the least, given everything else they've shown off already. Given that it got the Demos Rhino, a plastic Demos Predator makes perfect sense.
I like the way that even on this channel, someone's bringing up the fact that you glued an intercessor head on Terminator, John.
It was a war crime. It's true. I'll have to get into Horus Heresy because I've got too much shit not to.
I'm really excited to play Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely quite excited about. I'm more excited about playing some Horus Heresy than I am about playing 40k at the moment.
Maybe we could.
If I go to an event, I'm going to look at a Horus Heresy event.
Would it be Blood Angels Legion or would it be something else?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
Because I've got loads of Blood Angels already.
That's fair. all right.
I was going to say they're not stopping. It seems like with these plastic kits. Then I just
like
no.
they're going to be redoing basically everything from the Resin Heresy range into plastic, which is good. Does mean what the fuck are Forge World going to be doing long term after this?
I reckon long term they're going to go.
Yeah,
they're going to get rolled completely in with the rest of it, and if they'll have Forge World labels on shoulder pad kits and stuff like that.
If they keep doing Adeptus Titanicus and Aeronautica and Blood Bowl, I'll be happy with that. I mean, Christ, they could do...
It'd be nice if it went to Specialist Games. I'm still desperate for the resurgence of Battlefleet Gothic and Mordheim. Mordheim, I still think, is the best game that Games Workshop have ever made.
So, question, what about like Dawnbreaker cohorts? Are they going to become plastic?
No,
I
don't know,
wouldn't
maybe.
have thought... I'd like it if they did, but I wouldn't have thought so.
I think Specialist stuff will probably stay.
I think they're a little too
Mordheim
niche, because a Rhino and a Leviathan and a Predator can be used by literally every Legion. A single assault squad that could be used by one Legion out of 18 ain't going to be high on their priority, I'd have thought.
Yeah. So we think like the Primarch models, for example, the specific faction Horus Heresy units, like the Dawnbreaker cohorts. There's another set of Blood Angels Terminators that are specific.
Yeah,
they'll be
Paladins.
Staying probably resin.
Probably.
And they'll probably be doing like more plastic kits for the stuff that everybody can get. The only thing that I want to say about that is I think in some ways this maybe comes back to what Tony was saying earlier about Soulless, how he thought like if they do a new Space Hulk,
He's in the book. That's how
he's
good it was.
worried it's soulless. If the like, would you call the Indomitus box soulless? Because it's got nothing
because
chapter
they
specific
had
in it.
Really, the models largely had real individuality and pose. They're all monopose, which does look better if you've only got one of them in the army. But you do lose a little bit when you. I think they did a better job with Indomitus than they did with the previous one, Dark Imperium, which were very clean, very smooth aesthetic. And they did make a point of that. They said, look, 100 years on now, they've started to get a little bit more gothic in there. But it's still not... They haven't got that Blood Angels flavour or that Ultramarines flavour or anything like that.
Plus,
when are they
James has
doing
said
that?
in chat, the upgrade sprues that they're doing for shoulder pads and helmets and other such stuff, that'll be able to take care of some of the individualization you'll
Some
want
of it,
to
yeah, I
make
think so.
on tanks and infantry and so on.
Cheers, Mavic. It's growing back in again. Eventually I might buzz it off for my summer look, but
Dude, it's July. You ain't got a lot of summer left. It's probably finished already.
I haven't even started it yet. I've been indoors basically the last week. I'm supposed to be moving in about 2 weeks.
Wow, okay. That's soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Don't know.
I haven't got the Horus Heresy box yet. And Jacob says he's hoping that the Primaris Death Company jump packs and Sanguinary Guard rumours are real. I feel like they were just rumours.
It'd be nice if they were real. I wouldn't hold your breath for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
It smells a little bit too much like wish fulfillment to me.
Yeah.
Having said that, I'll be first in line if they are real.
Oh, absolutely. The thing that really makes me think that it's probably bollocks is the way it talks about this, like all these Death Company and Sanguinary Guard. It's all going to be part of the 10th edition box. It won't.
No,
because they always do generic stuff. Right.
Yeah.
With one exception, which was Dark Vengeance, it's always been chapter agnostic in the main 40k box set. So if it's chapter agnostic, it won't have Sanguinary Guard in it, unless everybody's getting them now.
Yeah. Even in that Horus Heresy box, the two characters, are they chapter agnostic as well? Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are, but they work better for some chapters than others because they are a bit feral looking. So they work really well for, especially the big guy with an axe.
Yeah.
Works brilliantly for Space Wolves and Lunar Wolves and that. And he looks a little bit not quite so good for some of the other chapters. But they've got a nice sort of balance in there with them.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Are we done? Anything else to touch on? Any other questions from chat?
Yeah, this is literally your last chance now.
What's our next episode for Grots? Did we decide that, or have we not got that far?
Wasn't it Knights?
We had a conversation, but we both had...
conversation.
Was it a Knights tier list?
Yeah, we were going to include in the Forge World because we skipped them last time waiting for the FAQ,
that's right.
which is finally
perfect.
dropped.
Yeah, we were going to
So
do
that's
that.
probably going to be it, unless something exciting happens.
So I was on holiday when the 80s episode dropped, and I was watching it from the hotel, just streaming it on my phone, and my wife was overhearing it and listening and talking on. It's like, you've completely scored Back to the Future wrong. You've got to do a 90s episode now. I've just been watching The Crow before we came on the stream this evening.
Yeah,
so
Mavs just said 90s movies.
we've got to do a fucking 90s episode. Yeah, that's got to be next.
Do you know that's our lowest viewed video of all time?
Well, so
It's
exactly.
got by far our longest watch time, which means that nobody really watched it, but the few people who did loved it.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I
making
don't
it.
care about the views. It was fun.
Yeah,
But yeah, we should probably do more Warhammer stuff because that's sort of our remit.
I thought our lowest viewed video would be me unboxing Star Wars Legion because, like, nobody.
Oh yeah, we have that.
Unboxing Star Wars Legion has done better than the 80s movies episode.
We do have an episode planned where John and I, at some point, educate Tony thoroughly into Star Wars.
Because
Now
I
that
couldn't give a
Obi-Wan's
shit
been
about
gone.
Star Wars at
And we
the
just go through that in some lengthy
moment. I like old Star
detail
Wars.
because there's a lot more to Star Wars than
It's too much Star Wars. I still haven't got Disney Plus.
that. Dude.
Okay.
When I've moved house and when we decide we can do this episode, then I'll get it so I can watch it.
I've still not watched the thing.
That's just shameful. That's an
I
amazing
don't
movie.
care.
Oh, well, you
I was so like out of my head the other day
Yeah.
that I went online completely delirious and bought yet another copy of I think it was Big Trouble in Little China because
dude.
so which means that I now own it like an extra time because apparently I wanted to watch a specific version of it at 3 o'clock in the morning while I was rolling around in a feverish delusion.
Oh, fair enough.
But because I've watched like half of it stoned out of my head on, various painkillers and running a fever, I can't even return it.
yeah.
It's dangerous.
Yeah. That's nerds with disposable income.
It could have been
So-
worse. I could have woken up and then found like a delivery turned up with like a mastodon or something stupid like that.
I was actually wanting to ask a question about super heavy tanks. Do you think, because I've signed up to another RTT and it's in like 10 weeks time, 9 weeks time, something like that. With the points drop, do you think I should just run the Falchion?
Yes.
Yeah, do it. You clearly enjoy it. You clearly have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, how do you not
You know how
have
to make
fun
the
with
most of it and
Yeah.
around, so.
Yeah, I mean, I want to win the RTT.
Run Dante and a Falchion. They balance out.
They could balance out, yeah.
It literally balances out. You get the CP back from buying the Falchion with Dante.
That's very true.
Yeah,
That's very
it's
true.
Martial Legacy, that makes sense, yeah.
I think if I'd been running that Falchion at the tournament that I just passed, I'd probably won the tournament as well.
If you took Gilliman could buff the Falcon.
You run into all sorts of problems by taking Gilliman, though, because he's a different chapter keyword.
The only thing you lose is Savage Echoes. That's it. Which is a big Blood Angels thing, but you only lose Savage Echoes.
ETM sent me like a giant list of things that you lose.
Right,
very-
chat's like kind of run the Falcon.
Run the Falcon.
It's basically, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to. I think it would be fun. Yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. 550 points.
What are you going to lose if you don't?
I'm not going to lose anything.
So just go nuts.
It'll be a Falchion. It'll be 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard,
And
maybe
whatever else you can fit in
Dante,
there.
3 squads of Incursors, and then take it from there.
3 Eliminators just sit on an objective at the back and do nothing.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys all enjoyed the stream tonight. If you did, hit that like button before you leave. It does help us out.
Tell somebody else to subscribe so we can get over that 1,000 mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've
Plastic
got a
Crackheads
Warhammer,
hit 1,000 before we did, so...
did they hit 1,000? Did they?
They were pimping for a few more subscribers to hit 1,000 like a week ago. I have no idea.
Oh
if it's-
right.
I'm
Okay.
assuming
Well,
they did.
congrats to the Plastic Crackheads.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Thanks very much for your interaction, your words, your comments, your questions. Much appreciated. Good to see you guys again. Hopefully
Bye-bye,
on the mend.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Oi.
Toodles.